Hello everyone and welcome to 1 Week Reviews, a show where me and some fellow Nitro community members get together and take a week and all play the same game and record how we feel about that game, you know, the pros, the cons, what we like about it, and write up some questions for each other, and at the end come up with a rating collectively for what we think of the game on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being an absolute dumpster fire and 10 being a glorious being that has fallen from the heavens and blessed us with its presence. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Tower, or Untitled, you might know me as. I lead and host the Nitro community, and I am a content creator. I do live streaming on DLive, Twitch, Twitter, all over the place. I do YouTube content like this. And that's me. And then next to me, over here, we have Umbra. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Umbra. I stream under I use controller. I just joined the community, about 3 months ago?
Yeah.
Or something like that. I can't remember anymore. And that's about it. I go by Brimstorm and Umbra in Warcraft.
And Ninth?
Alright, my name's Ninth Pawn, and I'm a community member as well, and mod and all that, and that's about it.
Cool. Alright, so this week we played a lovely game that just came out to beta, and I was so excited to play it because I love Magic. I haven't really gotten to play it very actively in a while, and I love ARPGs. So I was like, this is a match made in heaven. And then I saw who was releasing it, and it was the guys that did Neverwinter and Star Trek Online. And I'm like, okay, you know, maybe it'll be good. So I roped these guys into trying it out, and now we're gonna talk about our thoughts, starting off with Umbra. Umbra, the good and the bad, give it to me. What do you think?
The good, I did have an easier time on controller than y'all did with PC, mouse and keyboard. The gameplay with the controller moved smoother, I guess. It was easier for me to get through the menus so much faster than y'all. I didn't have to like drag and drop or push this and carry it there. For equipment stuff, I just pushed like A or X or whatever it was, and it just linked it wherever it was at.
Okay.
The bad was pretty much mostly at the rest of the game. I got stuck. I had bugs. Just the cinematics to start with were so blocky. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was like watching something from years ago that was like on PlayStation graphics.
Now, are we talking? So I want to get your specifics here. Are we talking like PlayStation 1? Or are we talking 2? Like, what degree?
The way the mouse moved for some of the cinematics reminded me of early PlayStation 2, probably.
Okay. That's
like when they first started, where you could actually see the mouth. Not like Final Fantasy VII where there was no mouth, but like when they actually started animating the mouse on games, it looked that bad.
So the lip sync to you was just completely shot to hell.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else? Or just all around, it was just like, other than that, it was just...
About the only thing, like, I did like the rotating spells later on, when you finally got to get multiple spells to cast.
Yeah. Whenever
they come into slots and they was randomized, it felt like I was using a deck of cards. It felt like it was up to chance what I drew to play.
Okay. So that was...
But, and they were pretty. All the spells looked great.
Yeah.
They didn't always hit, but they looked great.
Alright. Well, in that case, I'm going to move it over to you, Ninth. Pros and cons.
Okay, I did not get to experience it on a controller because I have one of these wildly exotic controllers that nobody's ever heard of and nobody plays games with, the PS4 controller, and it seemed to have trouble reading that. And that was just like a portend of what was going to happen with this game. Now, there's something to this game. I'm not going to say it was all bad. The combat was fun. The group activities were fun, even though you couldn't group up with your friends. You had to group with randoms.
Yeah.
And that seems rather asinine to me. But, you know, that was good. What wasn't good is I quit last night. I had gone pretty far in the game, but you walk around and you do nothing, and it's like you don't have any inventory. They don't explain anything to you. The tutorial is way too long, and it teaches you nothing. And the camera angle that they shot this game at and is completely locked into place is just wrong.
Yeah.
I have played the good, the bad, and ugly with ARPGs, and I've never seen another game go with this angle.
Yeah.
And it because it's not a good angle.
No. God. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
There was some fun stuff to the game. I liked that the abilities rotated. That was a lot of fun to me, that you had spells and you maybe had this one next or you had this one. It was kind of a rotation.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Any other positives and negatives before we move forward?
For me? I'm sorry, I didn't know you were asking me. No, that's pretty much it for me. I would say for the negative, though, is that it did... For a game that took that long, it did not explain anything right to you.
Yeah. With how long the tutorial was and stuff. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and give my pros and cons as well. I'll start with the pros. It's a shorter list. I think this is gonna be a recurring theme throughout this video. But like, I started as the Necromancer, and it's very rare because everyone in the NSC and anyone who might be a regular viewer might know this. I love minion summoning. I mean, my name itself comes from spamming photon cannons in StarCraft 2 because I would rather spam build photon cannons than build an army. I love the idea of minions or defenses or things like that. So like necromancers in games have always had a special place for me. And they do necromancy so good here. It's insane. Like I want the person who designed the necromancer in this game to I don't know if they designed the other aspects or if they'd be good at it, but please, whoever you are or collective you are, the necromancer designers, you are A tier amazing, because so many games seem to think that necromancy is about corpse explosions or dark energies, and there's some of that, but it's more about the minions and summoning zombies and raising the dead, necromancy. And they nailed that so good here. So that was cool for me, and the combat was great, but the movement in between the combat... Actually, no, wait. I'm supposed to do my pros first. All right, so necromancy, card upgrading. Once you finally get to the point where you can start upgrading your cards, I liked that I could go into the shop. I could find the card that I had, because I ended up getting this mythic... I think it was a mythic. It was this mythic giant green summon. It was this giant bush dude. And he summoned sproutlings, and then whenever the sproutlings died, he got stronger. And that was really cool to me, because I wasn't planning on building green at all. I ended up going black-green instead of black-white, which is what I was planning on doing. But, that was a really cool thing. And I liked that I could choose, I want to upgrade this card, so I'm going to upgrade this card with the resources I would have been given. Versus in a lot of games where it would be an RNG thing of well, you have to find this perfect item and this perfect item to combine them together and then pray to the gods that some divine blessing will come and give you the last piece to upgrade the card. No, they were just you got the gold, you get the upgrade card, boom, done. A novel concept. There were so many things in this game that were perfect, and that's why this game angers me so much, because you have that, you got the necro, the zones after the forest feel alive. There's mythic encounters, there's events going on. They don't require you to go to a specific zone. They're okay, now that you've done green, go to the red zone, go to the white zone, go to the black zone, whatever energy card style story you want, go after you get out of the sanctuary. And that was cool. no linear tie-in in an ARPG is something different to me. And then transmog. I liked the idea that you got transmog right off the bat after you got, well, not right off the bat. After you got through the hell that was the tutorial in the green zone. The transmog was really solid. They let you change the colors on your gear as well as the style, which was pretty cool. Though, because of the stupid camera angle, it didn't really matter as much as it would have if you could have changed it. But, yeah. So those would be, like, the pros. And even, you can hear, even there, like, for every pro, there is an immediate con connected to it. And that's the reoccurring feeling I get with this game. It's like, beautiful ideas that just aren't realized to their fullest. Or like, I just, ugh. And one thing I do gotta agree with you guys on, that I didn't like put in my notes and stuff, the card shuffling of the abilities is like, it's just like, it felt like I was playing Magic.
Yeah. As
a planeswalker, like the whole idea of shuffling in your deck and stuff. But that leads us to my cons. And oh boy. Okay, so first off, you guys have said it already, but I'm going to say it again because this really needs to be emphasized. The tutorial was too long and you learned nothing. Nothing at all. And it's just like, I hate tutorials in general, so I probably would have been annoyed by a mandatory tutorial even if it wasn't long. Just to preface it with that. But this one just like, I don't know, like, at least normally during a tutorial, you at least learn something? And instead we're just talking to this, what was he, the blue, what did they call him? Blue Mage, blue shirt guy? Do you guys remember?
I forget what it was known as.
Like, they didn't even give him a name initially?
Yeah, it come up as, I forget what it said when it come up to start with, and then it gave his name later, but I don't think he even said his name. It just popped up.
It just popped up afterwards, and we're like, oh, by the way, this is this character's name. Okay, sure, whatever. Like, it was just, like, I don't know. So that was garbage. Misleading multiplayer options. So, when you get into the game, and I can't remember if it was in the beginning tutorial, but once you get into the green zone, you get the option of seeing like a social window and to invite people to a party and all of this in your HUD. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to start grouping up with Ninth and Umbra. We can try out comboing the different abilities together, and this will be exciting. That didn't happen. Because every time I try to invite someone pre-leaving the green zone, it said you can't invite them because someone isn't progressed far enough in the story.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think Ninth was saying it earlier, if you went into like an arena or a dungeon or something like that, you could group with randoms.
It puts you in a queue.
Who thought that was a good idea? Who was like, you know what we want to do? You know what we want to do in a group ARPG? Not let people group up with their friends. Because that, you know, like, that's the ultimate, like, I don't know if this was an intentional thing or a bug. I mean, it doesn't feel like a bug because there's a message saying why it's not letting you do it. Yep. It's not like error something. It's a very clear, like, they are not progressed far enough in the story. Who cares? The story is garbage! Like, that's the next one. Like, the story feels tacked on. It feels like they were like, okay, we've got these systems and we've got this stuff. I mean, I was making up my own story to have fun with it. I think one night I was on and I started rambling about how I was a plumber in the land of magic, because to me that story was more interesting than what was going on around me. I felt no attachment to these characters. I don't really, I mean, I vaguely remember one of them from the Black Zone. I can't remember what it's called, but she was like a witch, and she was kind of cool and actually had like some interesting voice acting, and like she kind of had this mysterious vibe to her. But that's it. The rest of, like I said, I couldn't even remember the blue guy's revealed name. Like, none of the story mattered. It was a dumpster fire. I'm stealing Knight's coined phrase today because that's how I feel about this game.
This game earned it.
This game earned, like, I don't know. It's just... So the story was terrible. Get that it's a beta, but I'm sorry, you lose the beta excuse when you put a paid battle pass in your game.
Yep.
Like, sorry, no. Like, because, you know, QA is a job, okay? Like, they a lot of times companies try to act like it's not, but QA is a job, you know? So when you're having a beta test, the least you could do is respect your players' times who are doing a job for you for free. At least the ones that are, you know, actually giving you feedback. And, like, you know, I think Ninth made this suggestion where, like, you know, with the Battle Pass thing, we're like, okay, so you want to test to make sure it works. So, like, let people use it or give them an amount of currency to start with or something. Like, I just... I don't know. Like, yeah, so it doesn't really count as a beta to me when you put stuff like that in the game.
Yeah.
And then alt-tabbing. Alt-tabbing crashes the game. I don't know if this...
That.
It didn't crash for you?
I'd never alt-tabbed. I never tested that.
So I have 3 screens. So I am notorious for, like... normally I'll be working on something, or I'll be, like, watching a chat or something, or doing... Because, like, you know, I manage the community and stuff like that. So, like, I always have something going on one of these other screens. Yeah. You know? And so I'll alt-tab every so often to take care of something. And any time I just instinctively pushed alt-tab on my keyboard, game crashed. What? No!
I didn't have that problem.
Really at all with it.
What was another thing? Okay. This was a big one for me. I don't know if you guys experienced this one. Did you guys know that there's a cap on how many minion cards you could have in your deck?
No.
Never got that far.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, this is a card game where I can build my own deck, right? So I can build my deck how I want to build it, because that's how card games work. When you build, like, when you play Magic, you're not required to have a certain amount of lands or this type of thing or that. It's advised, obviously, but, like, and that seemed to be the vibe they were going for. So I was like, okay, I'll stick with this, see how it is. And, yeah, it's 12, so each card has, like, certain points, and then I believe it was 12 or 13 that you couldn't go over, at least as the Necromancer. I don't know if it's different for other classes. I was just like, really? Like, I understand having a limited card amount in my rotation. I could understand having, like, a limited amount of, like, the superpowered minions, but at the same time, you know what? I don't, because you have the mana cost for the higher cost spells.
Yep.
And you can't double cast it, like my my mythic green card that I had. You can't cast that and then cast it again. It doesn't work.
Yep.
Like it literally it'll resummon the saplings, but it wouldn't resummon the big guys. So they had already thought of that, but they put a cap in there for no reason. And like, here I am praising them for Necromancer build, and then they do that. And it's like, I feel like we're going one way, and then immediately someone else was just like, no, that's too fun. Fun, please. No. Yeah. Fun, please. Like, I hate the fun, please. Fun, please aren't fun. This isn't...
We hate the fun, please.
We hate the fun, please. And this is not a competitive game. This is not a game that, like, I mean, I get that every game needs balancing, but this is stupid. Yeah. Like, that's just dumb. Like, in a game that is a deck builder, you're going to tell me, not like even like it's a double or something I can spam, because like if I want to stack all high cost cards, let me stack all high cost cards. You want to know why? Because then I have to sit and wait to play those cards. There's a natural balance to that in the nature of the card game. It already exists. It's already balanced. I don't know. I mean, maybe they were worried about the game like crashing because its server stability was already shot to hell.
Yeah.
And every time the Fun Police arrived in this game, I was like, oh, there's the parent company in Neverwinter. I see you guys.
Yeah. And then I guess the final con I have written down, other than the battle pass, but Eric kind of went off on a tangent about that, is the hub area, Sanctuary.
Oh, yeah.
So I like the concept of a hub area, but a hub area needs to be accessible. And whenever you were like trying to get to a vendor or anything, it felt like I was walking half a mile to get through empty space. There was nothing there. And there'd be like, there was like the center area, and then there was like a vendor over here, a vendor over here, and then there was like one this way. And it's like, why? Why don't you have like a market section? You know, like, there's nothing there. There's no... It was just empty. It wasn't even like environmental stuff. It was just floor. Like, why?
Yep.
Maybe you get collectibles eventually. I don't know. But once again, this is a 1 week review. So we experienced this for 1 week. And honestly, I feel like that's a fair amount of time to judge whether you're going to enjoy a game or not. Because I am not one of those people that's of the philosophy that, oh, well, if you play past the boring parts, it's fun. If your game is a chore for someone to play, they're going to refund your game.
Yep.
And if it's free, they're going to uninstall your game. So, yeah. Okay, so there's my pros and cons. So, yeah. Anyone got any other pros and cons to add before we move on to questions?
I would like to add something that I thought was really aggravating to the game.
Okay.
On top of yours, where the areas are bland and you just walk forever, you finally get to the vendor, and you can't even reach the vendor because you can't pass through the other characters to get to the vendor.
Oh yeah, that stupid thing.
You can't walk through other characters. Like, you just stop. I like it. I know. I get that's more realistic if you was in a big packed group of people. Yeah, but if you wanted to grief in this game with enough people, you could just block off the whole vendor and no one could get to it.
Or the waypoint when you first come out of the tutorial. You could literally just put 3, I think we talked about this actually a little bit. You could literally put 3 people at the entrance waypoint from the tutorial and grief the entire shard.
Yep. You just can't pass through anybody. And then if you try to teleport, if someone's standing by the teleport, it's so hard to click on the teleport to even get the teleport to go. You'll click on that character's name.
Yeah. It's just...
And that would have been such a simple fix. Just change the settings on the collision physics with the actors.
Yeah, like... that completely slipped my mind, but that is a good point, because, yeah, that's a problem. That's a big problem.
I've got, there's also no twin stick. Like, if you're walking away in combat, I forgot about that. You when you walk away, you can't backtrack. You have to look where you're attacking.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was annoying to me because anytime I use a controller in one of these games similar, if it's got these mechanics, you've got a twin stick.
Yeah.
And this didn't have that. If you turn away, you start attacking whichever way your direction. You couldn't backtrack. You didn't walk backwards. You just walked in place no matter what.
And that reminds me of something I should actually specify too. Playing on mouse and keyboard, like, oh my god, it felt so janky. Like, it was like...
Yeah, it did.
It's like... So I switched from clicking where to go to WASD, because it started me as clicking where to go.
No.
But it still was just like... Like, when I was in the combat, it was solid. The moment I got out of combat, I hated it. It was just... It felt so wrong in so many ways. Ugh. Oh my god.
The only way I knew I could actually use my controller too is I had my controller setting on top of my PC. I kicked it with my foot when I was starting the game. Whenever I started being able to move around, the controller hit the floor and it moved. So I was like, maybe I can use my controller.
And that's
Because I was looking at the options menu for it to start with, and I didn't see the option. I don't know if I overlooked it or what.
And that's in complete contrast to Ninth, where he plugs in the controller and the game doesn't even recognize it, and it's a PS4 controller,
Yeah,
right?
a PS4 controller,
Which is
one of the
pretty
most popular ones out
standard.
there.
Pretty standard controller. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. I know you made the joke that's like an obscure controller, but like it's that really, if you're gonna have controller input, Xbox and PlayStation really should be in there.
Yeah.
Unless you're an exclusive, but as far as I'm aware, they're not. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to question time. So, first off, we're gonna ask Umbra. Umbra, 3 questions for the rest of us to answer. Go
Okay,
ahead.
you want me to just give them to you all 3 at once, or just
One at a time. One at a time.
one at a time?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess, how long did you actually play this game?
Is there a way to pull up /played?
I don't know. I've got an estimate on how long I played.
Okay. I know that I put at least. Okay, so I know the first day I spent about 3 hours. Second day I spent at least 14 hours. At least 14 hours into the game, minimum.
And see, I put more like 5 to 10, probably closer to 5.
Okay,
So I split the difference. I'm right at around 10.
you're at around 10.
Because I think I streamed for about 5 hours of the game, and then I had 5 hours that I played without streaming because I was like, I'm not going to make people watch this.
That's why I didn't stream it. I literally was just like, this is like watching paint dry.
Now, I did try to stream, I think, twice on that series, and it wouldn't pull up. Like, it just... I tried everything to get to pull up the screen to capture it, and it was like, we're not going to do this.
You had to do
No.
desktop capture, didn't you?
I had to go in there and work around. Desktop capture worked one time, and then the other time, it didn't even work then. It was like, no, not going to do it.
Oh, God.
I had to relaunch the app, and, well, both the Arc app and the Streamlabs repeatedly, numerous times, like 3 or 4 times at administrator before I finally got it to work.
Jeez. That's insane. Yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
I didn't put myself through that. But yeah, okay. That's a good question. What's your next one? I'm curious.
Let's see here. How many bugs did you actually encounter that were actually bugs, like getting stuck or something that you know wasn't intended or possibly wasn't intended? Actual bugs.
I actually have that written down. 5. Okay. First of all, getting stuck in slightly different elevation reasons for no reason. I'm assuming that the alt-tabbing crash was a bug. I mean, I can't imagine that was working as intended. There was a lag issue that I came across where, like, I would just start, like, kind of teleporting around, and I knew it wasn't my internet because I'd have, like, something running in the background, and it was completely good. There was an issue where my inventory wouldn't let me equip gear, and I had to relaunch the game to put the gear in the slot. And, like, I would sit there and try to drag and drop the item.
Yep.
Nothing. I'd right click, do everything. Wouldn't work. Relaunch the game, boot it back up. It worked.
Yep.
And I don't have the 5th one noted, but I believe, yeah. So those are the ones that I noted down. The 5th one I didn't note down, but I haven't noted that I found 5 that like real. They irritated me enough that I wrote it down.
Yeah.
So that's significant. All right, Ninth, what about you?
I ran into the same things. It was mainly getting stuck in areas that were not painted right. Like, you know, it showed a clear road, but you couldn't traverse it. And a lot of that was because of the bad camera angle. You couldn't really see where your feet were going. but also I got a lot of movement stutter.
Yeah.
Where you were trying to move and suddenly it's moving in 3 directions,
Yeah, definitely.
or a lot where it was rubber banding. And a game like this, rubber banding is inexcusable. It's,
Yeah. God, it's like having, I mean, it's not as extreme, but it's like having rubber banding in a fighting game. Like, you just can't do that. Especially, oh my god, I forgot this con! Because you can't pause the game!
Oh, yeah, yeah.
ever.
Ever! You can't pause!
Not even in a safe zone. It's like, no. Which I understand it's like, I know you can't pause Warcraft either.
Yeah, but
But this is right. I mean, if you're in a safe place in this game, you got to build your deck. There shouldn't be monsters come across the area to attack you while you're in this safe area.
Yeah,
I had that happen.
Yeah, that or like you're in one of those instance dungeons solo. So you're by yourself. You're the only one in there. It's an instance thing. It's not an MMO. I mean, maybe they're trying to be an MMO, but it doesn't feel like an MMO. In that sense. So, I don't know. The no pausing is kind of insane for when you're doing solo play. All right, and what was your third question? Sorry for interrupting you there, but you just made me think of that.
Trying to come up with a good one. I've got a bunch written down, but since there's only 3 of us, we need to get better questions for it. Here's it's just a simple question. Would you play this later on in a month or so?
Probably
not.
Would
you give it another chance?
I will give it another chance when it's out of beta, and we'll probably do another one of these episodes on it when it comes out of beta. Yeah. But so the guys who are the ones that are doing this, the ones that Overhead Neverwinter, are kind of notorious for the game is at its peak when it comes out, and it gets worse the longer it exists. That's kind of their MO. Ninth's experienced this a lot with 2.
Neverwinter.
Yeah, Neverwinter, Star Trek Online. These guys tend to release, and that's partially why I was kind of excited to play it, because it's like normally their games are fun when they come out.
Yeah.
And then they kind of slowly, gradually over years, kind of like. But this time they started down here, so like. Maybe it'll be different this time. Maybe they've got like a different crew of actual people just under the same company name. I don't know, but Perfect World and Cryptic, I don't trust them to if this is where they're starting, like I will be amazed if So I guess I would say in a month, no, but when it does fully release, I will give it a try just because I like the concept, but I'm not expecting to like it anymore. In fact, I'm expecting that the rating we give it at the end of the episode today will be better than the rating when we do this episode in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
That's what I'm predicting. And that's painful to even think about because this was bad enough. But Knight, you go ahead. What do you think? Would you?
A conditional yes, but really conditional. If I don't go back, I don't think I'm gonna miss much.
Yeah. So basically, sort of like me, where it's like for another episode, or like if there was something really specific. But other than that.
Oh, I'd do it to tear it apart again. Sure.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move on to 9th. Your questions.
Alright, I have 2 questions, but one of them does have multiple parts to it.
Okay.
And the first question, the one with multiple parts, is, and I'll just read the whole question out, but it's, is this fixable? And if they do significant fixes to your liking in this, would you become a regular player of this game? And the third thing is, what are must-haves that they have to fix before you play this regularly?
Alright. Umbra, you go ahead and go first.
It's such a iffy question for me because there's so much wrong with the game. It's going to be, to me, it would be like they would have to make a whole new game to fix this.
Yeah.
There's just so much wrong with it. They'd have to fix every one of the cons that we've mentioned. And like the areas are so big when you're walking places, there's nothing to do there. It's just walking. Like they would have to add like some kind of like mounts to walk, stuff to do along the way, just so much there to add. There's just so many bugs. If they fix all the bugs, come up with a better storyline. The graphics don't really matter to me much with the cinematics and stuff. I can live with that. I don't really care about that. I want the gameplay.
Yeah.
But the storyline was so boring. I was bored with it by the time I got through. And I recognized some of the characters. I recognized a few more than because I played some of the older characters. Squee was in there. I like Squee, the little goblin from the Fire World. He was. All these characters and stuff, they were just so bland. Like, the books were good. The cards have detailed stuff on all the cards. There's words and story script on the bottom of it telling about this card. All that's missing from this game. So there's nothing to keep me drawn in to play it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So my answer would be I would definitely return if they fixed it. I think it's fixable, but I don't think it'll happen because like Umbra was saying, there's just so much. I mean, this game is a beautiful diamond covered in dinosaur shit. Like, I mean, it's true. It is like this game, like the class design, the combat animations, the concept it's truly a unique thing to bring to the ARPG genre. Like, I wouldn't even mind the battle pass if the rest of it was good.
Yeah.
But there's just so many things wrong. And I'm like, they can fix it. If they dedicate the amount of resources that they need and they listen to feedback, and not just the people that are fanboying for it and saying, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. If you don't like it, you should shut up and not play. Really? Like, no, you're just fanboying because it's Magic and you like Magic property.
Yeah.
So you won't see anything wrong with it no matter what. It's like me and my WoW addiction. I mean, it's true. You can't do that. You can't. So like, if they listen to like constructive feedback, and I'm not talking about the people that are just screaming like, oh, because you know, there's the people that harass developers, and that's not okay. So not that feedback, but like the people that are genuinely giving feedback about like this is broken, this is bad, and this is why it's bad. Like the thought out stuff. Listen to that. Move forward. Build it. Reduce the fun policing. Like, let people enjoy this world together. If you're going to try to make it like an MMO with no pausing or anything like that, then I don't care if I'm in a freaking tutorial. I'm grouping up with someone.
Yeah.
It's if an MMO is what you're trying to build, why am I not like massively multiplayer online?
Yeah.
No group. So what is it? I feel like there's an identity crisis going on.
Yeah.
And that's what they. I think they need. So yeah, I guess to clear up the answer, I would say they need to have a clear identity as to what they want to be. First of all, and second of all, they have to fix the bugs, obviously, and then third, they'd have to stop the fun policing. The fun policing is too strong with this one. It needs to be reduced.
Yeah.
The dark side needs to be slain here. Like,
Yeah.
this is how it's gotta be. And then yeah, if they did that, I'd play this game. that would be fun. Honestly, especially with the necromancer. Like I'd go back just for the necromancy alone. I probably wouldn't become an avid player, but yeah, that definitely. All right, ninth. Next question.
All right, my second and last question is, first of all, this game is coming out on consoles. At least they planned it for, the Xbox, the PS, the Switch. This game to me seems like a really sloppy console port over. The question that I have is, do you think this would work better on a console? Do you think it'd be more fun to play on the console?
Go ahead, Umbra.
I think it would actually play better on console if they fix like the grouping issue. If you could just go in your friends list on Xbox Live and group up with your friends that way really quick.
Yeah, sure.
I think that would work better. And like I said, I play with a controller, so it seemed to control better for me than it did for y'all. I seem to have less movement issues, less spell issues, and all that. So I think it would.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think this game was a console port. I'm not saying that to insult, but honestly, especially after hearing about Umbra's experience versus our experience, this game feels like a console game.
Yeah, which is funny because it's not out on console yet.
It's not out on console though, but it feels like a console game. What would be really cool? If this game came out on console and they were like, "Hey, you can play up to 4 or I think the max party size we never got to test. I think it's 3. You could play 3 people locally, and it would do a split screen thing, and it fixed the camera angle. That'd be cool. I think that'd be awesome. I know Diablo translates really well onto console. Honestly, D3's setup on console is actually better than PC. I know it might get some hate in the comments for that, but I'm sorry, PC is not always superior for everything.
Well, I'll back that up too. I mean, I like Path of Exile better than Diablo 3 in almost every single way possible.
Yeah.
The problem is Diablo 3 did a better console version, hands down, period, in the statement.
Yeah. So
Path is clunky on a console. It just is.
Yeah. But so I think this game would do excellent on console if they cleaned it up, like Umbra was saying, the friends list thing, clean up some of the bugs. I almost wonder, because I know that it's a beta, but I almost feel like this is the beta for console. Yeah. I feel like they know that this game is going to do better on console, and so they were like, well, we're not as worried about pissing off the PC players, because if we just work through all this stuff with them first and don't pay QA testers, and maybe they do pay QA testers, I should specify that, I don't know, but sure, whatever. I think it'll be better on console. I don't.
I believe that too, and it's such a cynical way to do game development.
I think actually, even if doing the consoles, I know we generally play PlayStation to Xbox. I prefer Xbox stuff over everything. I think this game would do better on Switch out of all 3 of the major consoles. I think the Switch would work better. It has a younger audience, so they wouldn't complain as much about the bugs that we're experiencing. It would probably captivate them with pretty colors and stuff, as a child that would. And I think you could tap the spells and use them on the Switch screen. I think that would work better on Switch than Xbox.
That would probably control pretty good too. Now that I'm thinking about it, with a touch screen, that'd be. And then with how the cinematics are, with not the cinematics, but the spell lights and everything. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Okay. All right. Those are some good questions. All right. Now, I have questions for you guys. Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you ready for these beautiful questions? All right. So, let me see. If you had to choose throughout this whole experience, what was your most memorable fight? What you fought, in this whole thing? What was it? If you had to choose.
I can't even say I had a memorable fight because every fight felt the same to me. It was even the big monsters, like I can remember the big creatures coming out.
Yeah.
I can remember them, but they don't. It still seems the same as a small fight. I never felt overly challenged where I had to run from this, or I felt stressed that I was going to die from this. I always felt the closest I came to dying in this game, what little time I played, like I didn't play 10 hours, is whenever I thought I'd pause the game and I got attacked. That's the closest I came to dying.
Pause.
So,
huh? What do I hear?
why is my screen flashing?
What's my screen flashing?
But yeah, I don't have a memorable fight. I don't think. I guess the one I can remember the most would be at the end of the tutorial level, just because it took the longest.
Just because it was so drawn out.
Yep.
All right. Ninth.
See, I don't remember the boss's name because they're not big on names in this game, but I thought it was the end boss to the green zone, except it wasn't because it was still in the green zone. But it was a pretty good fight. It didn't take super long, but you had to use tactics like you had to hit and fade, and then hit and fade, and hit and fade back again because she hit like a truck, and it was a fun fight.
I think
And it wasn't one of the ones I played with multiple people. This one was actually done solo, so I think it was like an arena or something.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
I liked that fight. It was tough. You know me, I like tough without it being punishing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That fight might have been different for me because I played with the blue mage, and it was more about getting away from the people and casting from a distance. So I might have played every fight the same way you played that one fight.
Yeah. Because that was just how the blue
I
mage
played as a fire mage, and that is a pro
Yeah.
in my list. The fire mage was a strong class.
Yeah. The necro, I didn't have any problems until I switched to hard difficulty at all. Like,
I didn't even know there were different difficulties.
yeah. So it's kind of hidden. Once you get past the sanctuary, when you load into a map, when you're like teleporting, there's a little thing on the bottom right that says normal, and I was like, I think it said normal. I was like, oh, what's that about? So I clicked it, and it said I could switch it to hard. So I clicked that, and then I went in, and then everything felt like it was murdering me.
I might have actually liked that better because I thought every battle was easier. I didn't feel challenged.
Yeah,
I was bored.
I didn't feel challenged until I did that, and then that's when I actually had to start upgrading my cards because, like, I got that mythic green monster, and then I just didn't die.
I would like to add on that with where you got to upgrade your cards.
Yeah.
I never got to upgrade my cards ever.
It didn't work?
I actually went and I watched a guy do a tutorial video to upgrade my cards.
Okay.
The game would never let me upgrade my cards. I followed it to a T. I forgot all about that.
Oh,
That is a significant bug since I could not upgrade anything.
that's bad.
And I had everything I needed to upgrade it. And like I said, I went and watched the tutorial and went step per step. Couldn't recreate it. I couldn't get it to. It would either just not to, or it would say, it would give me an error saying queue is full. And it's like, I'm upgrading my cards. Why is the queue full? I mean, this should be my queue alone, you know?
Yeah, that should be your, like, that's weird. That's weird. I didn't encounter that bug, but there's another bug! Alright, so yeah, alright, so that's question 1. Question 2. We've kind of talked about this, but I kind of want to bring it up anyway. How did the world feel for you guys? Because for me, it was quite empty.
It was walking simulator.
Okay.
I walked a lot for no reason. Like, even with you had quick points. Like, I'm not, you do have points where you can warp over here and warp over here, but whenever you warp, till you get to the quest that's even close to the warp, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, it was just nothing. A lot of it was just bland. After I got to the fire world, like you said, if you get past the green zone, it was a little better. There were more to do, but it was still just, I think the camera angle did make it worse than what it should be. But it was bland.
Yeah. Alright. Ninth?
I just found it very cumbersome. It was tight, like the angles didn't feel right. and it did not feel immersive at all. Like some games you can just fall into. Like for example, the whole time we've been doing this, I've been doing some low level stuff on Path of Exile.
Yeah.
You can just kind of do that in the background, and it feels natural.
Yeah.
This game would never be like that.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and Path of Exile is an MMO style ARPG, so that's a good reference too, because like you can group up. I mean, you can't group up for the first beach kill, but that's not really.
Well, who cares? That's a very short.
That's
intro.
5 minutes versus the insanity that this was.
Oh, I don't even know how long the tutorial actually took me. It was at least 30 minutes to get to the Green World, I think.
Oh god.
Maybe 30 minutes.
Was first floor,
Maybe 30 minutes to the Green World.
Ninth had a fun time with the tutorial, from what I remember.
Yeah. It wouldn't let me get out the first time, and then I gave up on that class and started playing the fire class, which, granted, I liked a lot more than the white mage class.
Yeah.
The white mage definitely was a healer class, I think.
Yeah,
it was a lot of heal class.
That was another thing. Is like the white mage, right?
Yep.
You're in a game where it won't let you group up, but you give the player the option to start with a class that is designed to heal everybody.
Yeah. Because I know one of the instances where I actually get put with people, where it puts you with two other players, one of them was white mage, and we never lost health the whole time. I guess they had all healing cards.
Yeah.
Because every time any one of us would take any bit of damage, just like a little tick, it would be gone. There was no collecting green orbs. This guy had it.
Nice. All right, and then for my third question, and this one might be a little difficult. We'll start with you, Umbra. At what point did you feel the most satisfaction playing this game? What was the brightest moment? Like, you know how like when you're playing a game and you have that moment where you're just like, all right, let's do this, or I'm in, or like, even if it only lasted for a flicker of a second and then was dashed by a bug or something. What was that moment for you in this game?
I played the blue mage, the mind mage, and one of your spells is a gigantic tidal wave. Okay. It just washes over people, and it's a relatively low-cost spell, too. I guess it's kind of a push away because my character's so squishy.
Yeah.
And it was so satisfying just using that and watching everything. The elites got pushed back from this, and that was something that normally when you go up against, like in WoW, you go up against elite, it's not moving.
Yeah,
it's
CC. No,
this one, every bit of it just pushed. It was nice. That was probably one of the nicest feelings of the game I had. It was like my character actually felt strong enough to tackle this, even though this is a big elite character. I could deal with this.
Okay, cool. All right, Ninth. What about you?
Mine was also an ability. One of the abilities you get as the fire mage is this like whirlpool of lava. It's a circular thing, and it just eats up the little mobs. And there are a lot of like little characters that come at you, like a whole bunch of them, and you throw that down, and that chews them up.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. For me, it was it was when I had first left the green zone, and this red marker popped up on my map. It looked like a beast head, and then on the overhead map, this was the first time that I really felt like the world was alive. It was when and it pops a thing saying like a mythic beast has spawned or something. And I'm like, okay, what's this about? And then a swarm of players just all kind of converged on this one location, and you see like all these different spells going off, and it felt like this immersive battle and world, and then it ended, and I got like loot and cards, and it was kind of cool. I even got some gear, and then it opened up like this portal. There was like this portal that popped up, and you went through it, and there was like a treasure chest thing, and I was like, that's pretty cool. That for me was like the highlight. All right, so that's the questions. So now we're gonna go on to our ratings. Here we're gonna do our ratings. Here at the 1 week review, we do a 1 out of 10 review rating. And how we do the overall rating is all members of the review give our individual rating. We add them up and divide them, and that's how we get the final number. Umbra, what did you rate it out of 1 to 10, and why?
Mine is so low. It's a 2.
Ooh.
I had so much hope for this game that it dashed all my hope once, because I did not know about this game until you even invited me to join this.
Yeah.
I had no clue. Immediately, I was like, Magic. I love Magic. Yes, let's play this. Within the first 15 minutes, all my hope was gone.
Jeez.
It was a slugfest, and I was so distraught by playing this game that there was not enough good to even say that I could give it a half score at 5. So
yeah. Okay.
It was a bummer.
So a 2. Okay. All right. 9th.
I'm not going to go that much higher. I was waffling between 3 and 4. I'm going to have to go 3 on this. I mean, this game is deeply and tragically flawed.
Yeah.
And to fix it, it means like tearing up a whole bunch of the mechanisms in the game.
Yeah.
There is some fun stuff in it, and I actually like the lore of Magic, but it wasn't in this game,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would definitely go with a 3.
A 3.
Out of 10.
Okay. I was going to give it a 4 before we started talking. But the more that we talked about it, and it's like, every time someone brought up a positive, this entire chat, there immediately was a negative connected to it.
Yep.
Immediately. It's so flawed. So, as it stands right now, I'm with 9th. It's a 3. I think it could recover, but that's, we'll see what the future holds. But as of now, 1 week in, it's a 3 from me. So yeah. All right, so there we go. So we got a 3 from me, a 3 from 9th, a 2 from you, which means that we put this at, I guess we'll round it up and call it a 3. Yeah, that's pretty bad out of a 10. That's definitely in the range of dumpster fire. Yeah. All right. Well, to everyone watching, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. We didn't so much enjoy the game, but we enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. Next week we're gonna be reviewing Torchlight 3.
Yay.
So hopefully that's a little more enjoyable.
I love that whole series, and I'm not gonna have the game 1 and 2 figure in my ratings at all.
Okay, yeah. And we're gonna
I've never had any Torchlight experience, so this is gonna be a new experience for me.
Well, I'm gonna look at it like I've never played a Torchlight game, and that's gonna do my ratings.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you all for watching, and a special thanks to all of our community patrons, and we will see you all next time. Bye!
Bye.
Special thanks to our patrons: Shivi, Blue Phoenix, Drew, Evil Gummy Bear, Antioch, Suboptimal Preservation Society, AJ, Kazlor, Gravy Train, Ninth Pawn, Hollowed Zen, Louis, and a Knight Errant.